Welcome to the Nick, Dick, and Paul Show. I am one of your hosts, Nick Bilton. I was a journalist for 20 years at the New York Times and Vanity Fair, written a bunch of books, and now I am one of the co-hosts of this unbelievable podcast.
I am Dick Costolo, star of Screen and Stage.
See, now I want to meet you.
Yeah.
It's all changed. Before I was kind of indifferent. I'm Paul Kedrosky, investor, Wall Street guy years ago, mostly wander around talking about things that I don't know anything about.
I just want to add to Dick that he was also the CEO of Twitter because we are probably going to talk about social media today. Today's episode, Paul, why don't you tell us what today's episode's about?
I don't know if a lot of people, when they think about me, didn't really include that in the biography.
I can't imagine why.
Crate and Barrel. Yeah, he actually worked at Crate and Barrel. But,
did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I graduated from Michigan, so it goes to show you what the college degree will get you. No, it was when I was at Second City in Chicago.
Like you were.
I had to have a job
it was his
where I
side
could
job
come
while
and
he
go.
was CEO of Twitter.
But what were you doing there?
What do you mean? What was I doing there? I was
Were you in charge?
selling flatware.
Oh, you were literally selling flatware.
Yeah, literally.
Oh, that's the best.
Thank you.
No,
Thank you.
They have good stuff.
all right, Paul, tell us what we're talking about today.
I'm building up for sponsorships.
Okay.
See, that's very clever.
And that's why we're so excited to talk to you for this next moment about Boda Nova flatware.
Crate and Barrel's the best. I saw a piece recently.
There you go.
That was in New Scientist about the best and worst inventions of the last 100 years. And I sent it around to you guys, but I just, the idea of trying to, there's lots of good and bad ideas and inventions, but of trying to narrow it down to just a couple was interesting. And so I sent it around and I thought it was worth discussing. Like, for example, one of the worst ideas of the
DoorDash.
This is like Pavlovian.
I want to get back to that.
We're going to get to
talk
DoorDash.
about that, but go ahead.
So the social media was an obvious one, was one of on the list. Crypto was on the list. Effective altruism, weirdly enough, was on the list, which is a weird thing to have as one of the worst inventions because A, it's not clear it's an invention, and most people have no idea what it is anyways. So my take on with respect to these worst inventions is they kind of have to have had an impact. Otherwise, it's like, dude in a garage comes up with a way to make, hairless cats.
Yeah.
Do I care? Is it that important?
All right, I think we
deal.
should. I'm not going to start with DoorDash. I do have a question, a genuine, serious question for us, which is, and I don't know the answer to this. I have lots of opinions. It's not social media. It's the smartphone.
So it was on, going back to the New Scientist thing, it was on both their best and worst.
Okay.
It was on both of them, which was interesting, right? I mean, because double-edged thing.
What do you guys think? I think it is, I would put it in the worst category. I think that it doesn't make us better as people. It doesn't make us, all it does is make us more insular. We walk around. I mean, I was in the airport 2 days ago. There wasn't a human being not looking at their smartphone.
No.
And
I notice this all the time. It's one of the weirdest phenomena. If you came forward from 30 years ago into an airport, having traveled, the last time you did was 30 years ago, and you walked through an airport, you're like, what the hell? Is everyone like a palm reader? Why is everyone doing this? Why is everyone staring at their hands all over the airport? And of course, the big change is smartphones. It's astonishing. Now, my argument is it's actually fantastically important in airports because it operates in the same way as like the UN guys with the blue helmets. It's like a pacification mechanism. It keeps people in airports from killing each other. This is my theory.
that's it.
I really, really, really want to stab that guy over there.
But I gotta go back to Instagram.
Update on
I
TikTok.
got a 10 on Flappy Bird, and I got to try to get an 11.
I'm not kidding. I think it's actually kind of like a better version of the UN, where people otherwise are so riled up in airports that I just go back to scrolling Instagram. It's whatever. It'll all work out, which turns out to be really important whenever people are genuinely bananas, which is kind of the case these days.
Okay, so Dick, what's your thought?
One of the worst inventions?
Smartphones. Like, do you think that do you look at like your kids? Do you look at the society today, at the world and the stuff we consume, and the fact that people are reading less books than ever and they consume shorts and
at least you're not leading the witness.
I was going to say,
I mean, come on, like
like that you're approaching this really objectively. Other than all these awful things.
Let me just ask a question. Let me pose this.
Which are not possibly defensible. I'm interested in your objective opinion about this.
Let me ask you a question.
You are such a good gaslighter.
Is
really
the world a better place today, or was it better when people didn't have phones?
I mean, you sound like, great grandpa Costolo. Like, you can do this all the way back to the wheel. You can be like, wheel, you know what? Now no one's going to walk anywhere.
No one walks anywhere.
No one walks anymore. They roll things around. It was better when we dragged the food up the hill.
Will not work. That's from Gilligan's Island.
Okay, but there are technologies that are good and there are technologies that are bad.
No, I don't think that's true either.
No. Go ahead.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's not always true, but generally speaking, it's how they're used.
Correct.
Lots of technologies can be used for malign purposes. They can be used for good purposes. I don't think in general, most technologies, with the exception of possibly like aerosolized Ebola or something else, which may
hard to come up with the positive use case.
It may be possible that there's good, but I don't think it's useful to just say that everything technologies are inherently good or bad that way.
I'm not saying it's good. It's inherently good or bad. I don't think that there is a single technology on the planet that is either only good and only bad.
Yeah.
Cars, for example, they're great. 1.2 million people still die every single year.
Horrific.
Every year.
Yeah.
Actually, when I was today, there was a car that fucking rolled off the cliff and down up on Laurel Canyon. And
wow.
Yeah, there was helicopters and it was crazy. Anyway, going back to what we were talking about.
Smartphones.
No, technology. So there are technologies that are good and bad and so on.
No.
However,
we just agreed that wasn't
no.
true.
There's some that are more.
Oh, I see.
I believe that they lean in a direction. And so you can say, bioweapons are bad, but the same person who invented fertilizer also invented, the first biotech weapon. So it's like the thing, but what I do believe is that they lean in a direction. And
no, I think that's
I think social media, for example, leans in a much worse direction than a positive direction. Today, at least.
Okay, but let's stick to smartphones.
But
for a second,
I think smartphones. I think everything that we can do with a smartphone, we could do before the smartphone in a slower capacity. Correct or no?
Yeah, I think it's broadly true, but that's also goes back to Dick's point about the wheel. Wheel no good. It doesn't work. It's way better. I just think that's the wrong lens to bring.
Okay, I'm actually going to push.
Wheel things.
I'm going to push back on you. You have said before, and I thought it was a very astute observation, that we believe that the problem with Silicon Valley and with people that make technologies that everyone believes that it is a religious right and and that there's nothing that should ever stop it.
That's
and that you said this when AI first came out. I remember this.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
What's your point of view?
I think I'll interject an answer for Paul. I think that the challenge is that Silicon Valley always assumes this is going to be great.
Yeah.
You're going to love this. This is going to solve a lot of problems. I remember I had this argument with Reid Hoffman about AI when it first came out, and it said, high school is now useless. These kids are just going to not learn anything. He's like, no, it's like the calculator. I'm like, it's not like the calculator. It's literal, like it's so obviously going to be, people will just stop thinking for themselves and ask Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini, what should I think about this?
Yeah.
And and then here we are, it's happening.
Yeah.
But literally every N+1 invention, despite all evidence to the contrary from past inventions, is viewed as, this is going to be great.
This is the big one. Yeah.
None of the last N have only been great.
Yeah. So why would that change? And I think some of this has to do with classic survivor bias. Like if you think of it like as a multiverse, and in every timeline, people have been trying technologies. We're in the timeline that worked out, because if it had killed us off, we wouldn't be here having this conversation. So it creates this bias to believe that every technology eventually finds a purpose, or even if it starts off and it's a little bit uncertain what the use is, it sorts itself out. But that's classic survivor bias, right? So to go back to your original point, That's why technologists believe what they believe, because they're all backward looking and saying, well, it's always worked out in the past. Yeah, but if it hadn't worked out, you wouldn't be here having this conversation. That's it's an indefensible argument, right? You're arguing on the basis of your own presence. Well, that's essentially assuming what you're trying to prove. So I don't that whole argument leaves me cold.
So then the smartphone.
Yeah.
Good, bad, both?
No, I think the smartphone's largely a good invention. I think it's one.
You do?
I do. Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's brought, communications and computation and connectivity to people who might not otherwise have access through laptops and other things. You see this a lot in some emerging economies where people aren't wandering around with laptops, and yet they're using this to coordinate everything they do in terms of business. They're using phones to do all those things. It's the same way that in China, people were like, well, they'll never jump straight ahead to technology because they have to build out these giant wireline networks. Well, no, they leaped straight to wireless, and phones became the enabling kind of fabric that let everything happen. So I think they're incredibly fraught technologies, but they're wildly important and useful. And on balance, they're probably one of the most important inventions of the last 100 years.
Like most things, I think the smartphone is a great invention for me, and I don't want anyone else to have one.
Exactly. Because I alone, I'm capable of managing.
I really don't want the guy in seat 23B who's doing a business deal loudly on his phone to have one.
Right.
That's anyway.
But there was a piece, and there's no question that some of the most bizarre articles in the Wall Street Journal lately are about people using smartphones in weird ways. Like there was a piece recently, one of those A-head pieces where they have the funny drawings at the top. It was about how couples are fighting about smartphones because their only really alone time is just after they get home from work in the car, and they want to sit in the car for like 10 minutes scrolling Instagram. But because they have proximity security with things like Ring and other things, their spouse knows they're home, and they're like, why aren't you getting out of the car? Well, I was just having a little bit of me time on Instagram. And I was like, is this a thing? And so I started asking people, and it's like, yeah, I do that all the time. I come home and I might spend a couple of minutes once I'm parked just sort of scrolling the social media feeds and everything else, and don't go into the house for 5 or 10 minutes. Do it when I drop my kid off at school. I don't just drop them off and bolt. I'll just sit there and I'll look over to another car, and there'll be another parent there like this, and we're like, thumbs up. We're rocking this thing. So this sort of stuff is genuinely bizarre to me.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
We're a hop, skip, and a jump away from. Has anyone seen Grandpa? I think he's in the garage scrolling Instagram. And go out there. He's like, oh, Grandpa, we lost Grandpa several days ago.
It's clearly coming.
All right, so that's a perfect segue to another technology, social media. Dick, you're taking this one.
I'm going to go back to. Originally, I remember, during the Arab Spring, and we used to say at Twitter, like, we're the free speech wing of the free speech party. Like, there's no way to quash speech on Twitter. It's one of the reasons people across North Africa were able to rise up against the, powers that be, because they were able to organize, and they were able to organize anonymously because you didn't have to have your, real name and address and everything on Twitter. You could have a sort of, as you know, have pseudonyms. And then, of course, you start to see the millions and millions of Russian spam bots and phishing bots. The first Russian interference in social media was they were just creating millions of accounts for phishing, phishing attacks and spam attacks. Yeah. I remember when I left in 2015, it wasn't the coming election we were worried about. It was, oh man, these spam bots that are being created in Russia.
How were they doing? What kind of phishing were they doing?
What do you mean? Like doing all the classic, like, hey, at replying to people and like,
saying, click on this.
Check this offer.
Check this offer, and all that stuff.
And then it transitioned into what it is today.
It transitioned into interference in the elections, obviously, after I left, but we didn't know it at the time. And and then of course all the other anger. Like it's now now most of the time you go on there, it's either here's this great thing I'm doing that you're not getting to do, or anger, inciting anger.
Yeah. And that's because you can monetize anger now. And I think that's a really important.
It's always, yes.
This idea that, it's not my line, but the idea of anger entrepreneurs, that there are literally people who are successly monetizing these very strong negative emotions.
One of them is the president of the United States.
There's lots of people.
No, it's not. I'm not dissing him for it. It's literally what he's amazing at.
But the point is like there's lots of. He was not an early adopter.
There was plenty before him.
Plenty before him.
Would it be
so? This idea, though, that was really difficult to do, at scales is the important piece with
Yes.
social media. Like you always had back.
And it's not one-sided either. Like you can be an anger entrepreneur on any side of the equation.
Any political position. Now, that's existed back to the 19th century newspapers where people had the cultish followings of right-leaning, left-leaning, whatever else newspapers.
Right.
And so that existed. The difference now is there's this flywheel effect where I see in real time what works and what doesn't, and that becomes self-reinforcing, speeds up the process. And from my standpoint, as the anger entrepreneur, it's really easily monetized.
Somebody was telling me a story recently about this Israeli research company about this woman that had become a very, very influential in the Gaza-Israel debate. And they had gone back to figure out where she became ideological, like where it all started. And she used to post on Instagram pictures of cats. And literally that was it. It's like, oh, here's my cute cat. Here's another cute cat. And then one day she was really upset about something and she posted something like some anti-Israel thing and it just exploded.
Yeah.
Literally, like everything before was 2 or 3 likes. This was 200,000. And then that was it. Everything from there on, like she had been turned into this
slave to the algorithm.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I guess.
Thank goodness, because I hated those cat posts. I was like, if she posts another picture
would
of
it
these
be
cats.
accurate to say that social media is a technology that started good and ended bad?
It started with good instincts. This idea back to the early days of the internet that there's this Tim Berners-Lee and everyone else about how having more people connected is a great thing and it's going to make people more aware of what goes on. But what really happens is it goes back to you read like Captain Cook traveling in the South Seas, and every time you had a first encounter with another civilization, it's be like, we need to kill those people, right? Because they're really dangerous. The internet and then social media does that at scale and in real time. This constant encounter with aliens, with people that are like, dude, this guy's nothing like me and this makes me angry. So this is constant first encounters, like back to South Sea voyages. And that's the thing that I think was the naive bit from Berners-Lee and others in the early days of the internet. The idea that, no, this version of first encounters will actually work really, really well as all of these tribes start colliding online. No, it's the exact opposite. When tribes encounter each other, it is a kind of extinction anger event where it's like, I not only don't want to see them, I don't want them to exist anymore. Yeah. That's the thing that I think, and that has always existed, but these technologies, social media in particular, was naively thought to not have that problem. And of course, the exact opposite has been the case. It's created this flywheel of first encounter anger. And you see that as soon as you jump on. And then if you give the algorithm any signal and say, spend more than a second looking at something, it's like, bam, I know what to show you all the time, right? And so then, of course, the whole process continues. So it starts off with these genuinely laudable intentions, but it misunderstands the nature of how tribes react and how people react to each other.
Keith Rabois' replies on Twitter of all caps wrong are the disease-infested blankets of the 21st century.
Is that really a thing? Does he do that?
He does.
Yes.
He once. My favorite Keith Rabois tweet it was something about real estate, and he said, "I know more about commercial real estate than any human being on the planet, and you're wrong."
That's the best.
All right. So, can I talk about the thing that I think is the worst technology ever created in human history? DoorDash.
Other technologies may start wars, but I have an objection.
Biotech holds nothing to DoorDash.
Sure, air-sized Ebola, but all right, let's hear it.
Food delivered to the house.
Okay, here's the thing. I was years ago in high school. I was a pizza delivery driver.
Oh, this is going to start we're going way back.
Is this the TED speech version where you've got a personalized anecdote at the beginning?
And I delivered wings for Wings and Things, okay? And in Florida, and I was very good at my job, by the way. I always got it there in under 30 minutes. Anyway, they paid us to do this. So that was our job, right? The restaurant. And you would call the restaurant and you would say whatever. So then along comes DoorDash and they're like, hey, we're gonna make it easier for the restaurant so they don't have to pay anyone to go and deliver the food, right? We're gonna make it so the customer has to pay, which to me is just the beginning of this. So then when you go to DoorDash, and I've done this experiment, like there's a restaurant we go to and the kids get pasta and it's $12.99 for some butter pasta. You order it on DoorDash, $19.99, okay? They inflate all the prices. And then on top of that, they add these 20% surcharges, and there's this thing and that thing and blah, 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 blah. So
you realize you don't have to use this, right?
No, that's where you're wrong. Let me just finish real quick. Here's the thing.
I'm gonna let you finish.
But so a meal that you would pay $50 for before, right, or like a bunch of meals, is now literally $100. You are paying double because of all the bullshit fees that they add. And you do, if you want to have food delivered, you have no choice because the restaurants no longer hire people. They offset it to us, the customer. And it drives me absolutely fucking bonkers.
So your objection is that they have to stay in business, right? That they have to charge higher prices as it's just their business model.
Yeah, their business model is evil.
What's your feeling about last-minute airline bookings? Have you noticed they raise the prices if you book at the last minute? Is that evil too?
No, here's the thing. It's evil because you don't have a choice.
You do have a choice.
You don't have if you want to order food.
Who's making you buy food for delivery?
Wait. Let's imagine a world now in which Nick's DoorDash app stops working. Oh my God, the kids can't eat.
Yeah.
You don't.
I'm trying to understand.
My point is, here's my point.
You don't have to yell. You don't have to yell.
I believe the whole point of a technology is to make things easier, right? That's what we try. That's why we create these things because we're lazy. We want things to be easier. They want them better, quicker. Blah 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 blah. Amazon.
Where
I want
do you
toilet
get the
paper.
idea you're lazy, complaining about you have to use DoorDash?
So
is the pasta place like a block away?
No, it's all these different places all over. Everyone I know who agrees with me, except for you two fuckers. Okay.
This is my favorite gaslighting move ever.
Everyone I know.
Everyone
agrees with me except you.
Everyone except you assholes. Anyway, I would just like to point out that I think it is a disgusting company, and they screw over the customers, and it is not okay. It's not. You don't need to charge people that much money.
Why?
Because when you come in and if
let me ask you a question. Can I just ask you a question?
Ask me anything you'd like.
Who are these people who agree with you, by the way? I'm just curious.
Everyone.
Is this like your...
Go. I get into this conversation with people all the time, by the way. You don't have DoorDash on your phone.
I do have DoorDash on my phone.
I thought you said you deleted it.
You said you deleted it.
You deleted it off his phone?
Keep going. You use Slice all the time, which incidentally is a much nicer company. But anyway, keep going. What's your question?
I don't get where you're saying like they don't have to you don't have to use it. They can charge whatever they want.
But you have two choices. You have DoorDash and you have Uber Eats. They both do the same thing, right?
The other choice is you walk to a restaurant.
Yeah, but if you if you're working and you've got kids and you're in meetings and yes, okay, that is another choice. However, if you want to eat at your local Chinese place and it's 12 blocks away and your kids are hungry, you have other choices, but you don't at the same time.
All right.
I think you're redefining the word choice to mean things it doesn't mean. This is my takeaway from this.
Yeah.
No one's forcing you to use it, and your objection is that because you like using it, they charge you more than you would like to pay.
Okay, let's take a different example. Let's just imagine.
Let's take first class seats.
Yeah.
They're too much money. I want to sit in row 1.
Yeah. I like it up there. Why do they charge me so much? I want to know.
Yeah.
This bugs me.
I'm clearly the minority here. But I just think
I'll tell you one thing: DoorDash isn't going to be next week's advertiser.
We have another episode that may or may not about Davos. This is Davos, by the way. Yeah. This is literally Davos. You've got a bunch of people who all feel the same way as you do, and you all sit around and talk to each other and say, "Yeah." Not only that, it's like this. It's also just as bad as she thought. So this like echo chamber of reinforcing views of the most nonsensical idea.
No, but I think here's a question. No, this is a genuine question.
You can't.
This is a seriously genuine question. Does the restaurant benefit from this? No. Does the customer benefit from this? No. The only person that benefits from this is DoorDash because the restaurant.
I think the word benefit means something you don't think it means.
What? What does it mean?
If it doesn't benefit people, why are they doing it?
Because they have no choice.
they can't come up with calories any other way.
No, because the restaurant can't hire someone to. We should just move on because this argument is not landing. So, all right.
No, I think it's interesting, but I think it's some kind of weird LA thing.
It's not. I was in New York, and then people were talking about it in New York. Everyone was talking about it.
You're kind of making this boiled frog analogy of this stupid pot is getting hotter and hotter, and it's not benefiting anyone. Well, get out of the pot.
Or they got me addicted to this technology, and now I've discovered they keep raising prices, and I don't like it.
No, if I could call the restaurant and order from them and get it at the price that the restaurant charges, and then I can tip the driver, great, I would do that. But that's not an option.
Yeah, but that's because the restaurant doesn't want to be in the delivery business. That's the real thing you should take away from this is restaurants want to be in the restaurant business. So they use services to deliver food, and those services charge accordingly because people are willing to pay it.
I disagree. Anyway, next technology.
What are your feelings about gravity? Because I really don't like gravity. I find it a huge nussance, constantly being stuck to the ground.
Yeah. You take one step and you just go another foot instead of bounding over to...
Right. Who do I speak to about this?
Yeah.
The next bad invention, should we do Bitcoin, effective altruism?
I think the next bad invention is the crypto investor.
I like that idea.
Yeah, they're
But
horrible.
not crypto itself?
Crypto itself is innocuous. It's the crypto investor that's got to go.
Yeah, the crypto investor is this weird creature where they're constantly moving the goalposts. It's like originally this was going to drive transactions, then it was a store of value, and then the world nearly blew up and the value of crypto went down. It's like, dude, you don't have anything left. What's the thing that this is supposed to be tied to?
And then everyone started getting, their homes started getting robbed. Did you read the story? Was it in Bloomberg about the guy Meow?
Oh, no, I didn't see that one.
Oh my God, it was crazy. There was this crazy story, this older couple who had put their retirement into crypto, and they had like $3 million, and they heard this like tapping on the door in the middle of the night. It was like the glass door, and all of a sudden the glass smashed. And then they were like held hostage, and there's a guy who was running this whole ring where he would hire low-level thugs to go and like rob people. And the guy's name was Meow.
I didn't catch the name.
Meow was a good name.
No,
there's going to be a lot more of that because
a lot more.
The Coinbase hack, I think, exposed 7,000 or 70,000 names, and the names that were distributed to the criminals weren't like I found 70,000 random accounts. It's like holders of lots of crypto. So people, the bad guys know who has it and how much they have.
Yeah. And the thing I find, there was a big piece just recently about this, I think on Wall Street Journal or somewhere, where talking about the unintended effects of crypto, specifically that to fund crypto, one of the accidental or sort of intermediary inventions was this idea of stable coins, these coins that are tied to the dollar but allow you to sort of store with relative liquidity, and you can go back and forth between crypto and preserve the dollar value. And there's a bunch of people out there with these stable coins. And the big thing now is that stable coins are attracting a significant amount of assets, in part because the dollar's weak, but a bunch of other things. But that's profoundly destabilizing to the existing banking system, because we have, in particular with the smaller regional US banks, they're very lending dependent. So the way that you obviously run a book if you're a lending dependent regional bank is you have to have significant deposits, because that's how it works. The deposit ratios dictate how much lending you can do. But if that money's flowing out the door and increasingly going into stable coins, it reduces the amount of lending you can do, which becomes circular because then you can't earn returns. And so there was a big report out from, I don't know, the International Monetary Fund or someone like this, just in the last week or two, talking about how stable coins are actually destabilizing for a reason that wasn't the reason we thought they were bad. So we were in this weird moment where crypto's destabilizing for unexpected reasons.
So stable coins are destabilizing?
Stable coins are destabilized. Because we thought that the reason why they were destabilizing was because the reserves that these things were holding, Tether and others, were fairly opaque. So it wasn't obvious that they had sufficient reserves to justify the peg against the currencies. And then, so that was one source of risk, right? Because then you can have a run if the thing doesn't have enough reserves. But then it turns out that actually now there's a new reason that they're becoming destabilizing, and it's because of this deposit ratio problem in regional banks. So I actually think you're going to see a wave of regional bank failures as a completely drive-by consequence of the rise of stablecoins that no one predicted. Crazy. It wasn't the original reason that crypto was invented. It was actually an intermediary technology, and yet here we are.
Drive-by consequence is a great phrase. I'm going to start using that all the time.
What was the word he used before? I forget. It was a good word.
Monoculture? No, something to do with that.
It was uniform ecology.
Oh, uniform ecology. Yeah.
Wait, are stable coins tied to the value of the dollar, or do they?
No, they converted a dollar. Yeah.
But then
that's the idea.
So if the value of the dollar changes, does the stable coin, or is
it's pegged to the current value?
It's
no matter
pegged
what
to the dollar.
So
no
why
matter what
would someone
to the
put
dollar.
money into the stable coin versus?
Well, because they're nervous about what's happening with the dollar, so they feel like this is a place to hide, but also increasingly because they're paying on deposits. So Circle and others are now, and this is sort of a regulatory hole, but can pay like 3.5%, 4%, we're seeing. Wow. So that's attracting an inflow of assets, and people say, well, it's both protecting me against the dollar and paying on my deposit, and so why am I not putting money in there? But that money, again, is coming from somewhere. So it's sucking it out of the regional banks, and the regional banks in the US, as a result, look increasingly dodgy with respect to the assets they have to drive lending, and that's obviously bad for the banks, bad for regional economies, and all because of these things, these intermediary technologies, this invention called stablecoins.
Do you see, Paul came up with a technology that's actually causing all sorts of problems while you bitch and moan about DoorDash, which you continue to use.
I didn't. I used Uber Eats for lunch today, but that's a whole separate thing.
No, but the thing that I find, like, for me, the most interesting bad inventions are ones that have these unintended effects that are bad. But in the reverse, the most interesting positive inventions are ones where it's like, oh, I never expected it would get used for that, right? So you find like the idea that in sub-Saharan Africa, people are organizing entire businesses around just mobile phones. That's really interesting. We didn't predict that would happen. So that's a positive thing that happened from an invention is probably an idea that this was actually an interesting invention. But then on the other side, crypto is one where it's all you see are these sort of malign consequences.
Well, and I think that goes back to what you were saying earlier, which I've always found the most fascinating about technology is that you can't predict what it is going to do and how it's going to be used, no matter how you try. And in Silicon Valley, that's always, oh, well, we know it's going to do this, we know it's going to do that, and that's never the case, ever.
No, most technologies, like you see people used to be. I'd run into people when I was working in the financial industry who used Excel for as PowerPoint. I was like, how is this even possible? They just make gigantic cells and they put font, you grow the size of the font. And they're like, you're literally using Excel as PowerPoint. Yeah, I just like Excel. But
it's better than the other way around, trying to use PowerPoint as Excel.
Right. The math is...
Try to put a pivot table in a
PowerPoint presentation. Yeah. But like the most interesting technologies tend to have that attribute that they can be used for a lot more things than the people who invented them ever anticipated. It's just that when it comes to these bad inventions, social media, to a lesser degree, maybe crypto or whatever else, they often have all of these negative consequences. So I just think that's a nice way of framing good and bad inventions, right?
The other thing that was on the list...
It's a very good way of framing it. That's one of the reasons I think the La Cruzette is one of the best and technological inventions of all time, because you can cook anything in that sucker.
That's true, actually.
It is true. And they last forever.
They last
and they
forever.
Don't get rusty.
They're indestructible.
And you can just store stuff there.
Yeah.
Kids never look.
Yeah. I use DoorDash to order things and put it in the La Cruzette.
Right. As one does.
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense.
Alternative fuels, Dick.
Alternative fuels?
It's on the list.
Of good or bad?
I don't know. You tell me.
Great.
It was on the New Scientist list of bad ideas.
Yeah, it was on the New Scientist. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
New Scientist and me in disagreement?
Yeah, I know.
It's never happened before.
Yeah, it's never happened before.
What do you mean? Wait, how could alternative fuels be on the list of bad ideas?
Because of the energy footprint of producing it. Like, for example, some of these like crop-based fuels.
So it takes 4 gallons of gas to produce 1 gallon of an alternative fuel. Let's not pick nits.
That's right. You've got to crack a few eggs to make to make an energy system. No, but I just think that, again,
you've got to crack a few eggs to make an energy omelet.
That's right. Yeah. That's an old saying. I've heard Václav Smil say that before.
By the way, I have an old saying comment.
Oh, go.
This is actually great. And it's a little bit of a non sequitur, but it is an old saying. So I was in China. We went to China with Twitter in 2013 to try to get fruitlessly to try to get China to, hey, you should be. Why can't people in China use Twitter within the Great Firewall?
Did you meet the president?
But I didn't meet the president.
But you went high.
You think
up.
everyone's the president? You think everyone's the president? You think Canada has a president? You think China has a president?
Did you meet the top dog? Or
no, I didn't meet Xi. I met some people who are like the head of the Minister of the Interior, Minister, et cetera.
Yeah.
Information Minister, Minister of the Interior, et cetera. And when I would ask, why can't you let the people of China use Twitter? They were great at. They would always say, we have an old saying here in China. And they would say something to you, and you'd be like, it's a pretty good old saying. And then the people I took with me who were like born and raised in Shanghai after the meeting would always go, there's no such saying in China. The saying would be something like, we have an old saying in China, if you want to know where the car is going, ask the driver. So I would ask you. And, after the meeting, a couple of the engineers would be like, China's a pretty old country, and cars have only been around about 100 years, and that's not an old saying in China.
I can't possibly fill the bill.
So they just would make them up the whole time?
They're making up old sayings. And what are you going to do? Say that's not, I don't know.
Yeah, this is a huge tourist attraction. You should take a picture of it.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, right. Anyway.
So I got
you actually
Sorry,
used,
I digress.
I interviewed you in 2010, was it? On the cover of the business section of the New York Times. And you actually, I still remember this. You had a great saying. You said, I asked you a question. You said, it's like the old Polish saying, not my monkeys, not my circus.
Yep.
It was a good one. I like that saying.
It is an actual Polish saying,
Yeah.
by the way.
It is an actual Polish saying.
Yeah, my grandparents had that one. So two more. I'll give
It's
you two.
the better version of play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, wasn't Taylor Swift who said that for the first time. I thought it was.
All right.
I got that wrong.
Anyway, we digress. I didn't
so
have
two more-
alternative fuels as a
I got
bad
two more
invention.
inventions for you.
Yeah, do
All
it.
right, go.
Let's do it.
Wikipedia,
Good one.
I think, is like hands down one of the most important inventions of the last 100 years. There's just no two ways around. Unfortunately, it's probably doomed within 5.
Yeah, right.
Because AI is going to
Yeah.
completely replace it.
That's the problem,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it's this notion of categorizing human knowledge and having people do it, or having it, I'll say, extracted from people's own knowledge, and they're doing it on a volunteer basis. Turns out to be an incredible invention, but the problem is that you can take the humans out of the loop, right? And which is what, in a sense, large language models do.
Why do you think that Wikipedia was so successful at letting humans do the work and it didn't spiral? I mean, there are instances it did spiral into total anarchy, but
all the
for the most part, it did not. And yet everything else did.
I think because it was relatively geeky to do the things you had to do.
Yeah.
Editing things was...
You couldn't just be like, I listened to the Joe Rogan podcast and now I'm going to go change this person's Wikipedia entry.
They had it carefully hidden behind a Unixy looking thing.
Yeah, that's right.
That turns out to be a great barrier.
Turns out like command line interface is going to scare a lot of people away.
Yeah, and the flip side of that, one of the other, I think most important inventions will turn out to have been the transformer model itself. So 2017, the Google paper, attention is all you need. Whatever the consequences turn out to be, it will be one of those things where, weirdly enough, you can't even say where were we when that happened, because honestly, truth told, I had no idea till 2 year later that there even was a paper that was saying those kinds of things. But nevertheless, in terms of the consequences of it, that's going to be one of the most consequential inventions.
Of course, for sure.
Right? And in turn, of course, will make Wikipedia a much less important invention of the last 100 years.
But in your mind, it's one of the worst inventions because it will make us extinct, or?
No, I think the Transformer paper is it's going to be one of the most widely cited and widely used and widely leveraged papers ever. I mean, I can't think of a paper that will be more vital to anything that happens in the future in the world.
I interviewed 2 of the people who wrote the paper. I wrote a piece for Vanity Fair a few years ago about it, and I asked them, I was like, when you were doing it, did you know what you were doing? Like, did you know it was going to have this impact? And they were like, absolutely no way. Like they were in this little tiny lab at Google that no one knew about, no one cared about. Sundar didn't even know existed. And they were trying to figure out how to translate language.
It was a translation.
And then they realized that it was capable of doing these other things. But I remember I was like, well, so when you put it out, was there a big thing? And they were like, no, nothing. Like no one at Google, even their own boss was like, okay, cool. Now what's the next thing? Yeah. And then cut to 2 years later and the world had changed.
Yeah. I mean, and there's the cliched version of these stories is that, oh, no one realized how important was this thing I'd been doing. I think that's sort of true, but it's adoption kind of tells you after a while that things turned out to be important that you didn't realize at the time how important it was going to be is kind of neither here nor there, right? Because who knows what people will eventually pick up, how the invention will diffuse out into the world and everything else. Just that you invented it. There's lots of stuff gets invented, never gets picked up.
And I think that's what's going to happen with alternative fuels.
It's going to get
2 years.
It's going to turn out.
The other funny thing about the paper was one of the guys told me, I said, why did you say attention is all in the Transformers? And they were like, we were watching the movie Transformers and we just kind of wanted to.
Oh, is that right? I didn't know
that's
that
part of where it came from.
Come on.
Seriously, that's what he said. Unless he lied to me.
He's probably just guessing.
He's now the CEO of DoorDash.
I don't know about that.
That's truly what he said. He was
I'm not disagreeing that it's what he said. I'm just saying he probably wasn't watching the movie Transformers while he wrote that.
I'll give you another invention.
What's that?
It's another one that I really like. This
Transformers.
Was this idea of the electrification of everything, which I think is a really nice framing of what's going on right now. That electricity is becoming not just the thing that lights your house or whatever else. That it's the power substrate underlying everything, right? It's transportation, it's large language models, it's why AI data centers are such a big deal. All of this, in a sense, is about, at the end of the day, it's about trying to power the electrification of everything, which is unprecedented. Because if you go back, 200 years and prior waves of industrial revolution, it's usually about replacing some of the power with, like, you go from coal to wood or wood to coal, depending on where you were, and then you add in some other fuel source. They all sort of sit on top of each other. This idea that everything's becoming uniformly organized around a single way of delivering power is incredibly interesting, I think, and important because electricity has a bunch of interesting attributes, not least of which is that you can produce it if you want to in relatively clean ways. That we aren't is a separate problem.
I was going to say, unfortunately, we've got just the sophisticated power grid to handle that.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. But that idea that everything is becoming in one way or another tied to electricity is, I just think, if you look back to the sort of the electrification in the United States between 1900 and 1920, that was seen as a relatively narrow phenomenon about just providing lights and then eventually air conditioning came along and other things. But that it would become ubiquitous and underneath everything should be startling because that was never obvious.
Well, it's startling, but it's also quite terrifying because once the power goes out from some sort of whatever
grid-based attack,
we will be dead within the next 3 weeks.
Well, at least if you live in somewhere cold.
No, where are you going to get your antibiotics and your food and your fresh water? It's like there's a State Department report that predicted 95% of America is dead within 6 months to a year.
Yeah, like a pulse attack or whatever else. No, but the thing about most technologies that's interesting is it creates new attack surfaces, new ways of attacking systems in ways that people didn't expect. I gave the example of stablecoins in the context of crypto, new attack surface. Same thing with electricity and everything else. Mm-hmm. That's what I think happens all the time with these. In the same way that, like, I just saw, was it this week, last week? Recently, was it Sam or Dario? One of our two favorite AI CEOs talking about how, it was Sam. He was talking about how they're releasing this a new version of Codex. Is it? What's the Claude code for OpenAI? And his comment was that this essentially will radically increase the risk to everyone because this thing is so adept at producing and curing viruses in terms of like code and everything else. And I was like, this is bizarre, this idea that we should be rewarding people for technologies that vastly increase the attack surface, right? This is a weird kind of invention to be excited about. And it's sort of analogous to a robber breaks into my house and says, you don't bust me. Like, I showed you a security flaw in your house, right? It's like,
right.
No, that's not the way this works,
right.
right? So this is this interesting moment we're at in terms of these inventions where it's not just accidental, it's actually known at the time that the invention is made that it's got these incredibly dangerous side effects.
Intended or known bad side effects, not a drive-by side effect.
So that's unusual at this moment in inventing things because it often turns out to be a surprise to everybody that it's got it. When you actually say it as part of the launch event.
It's part of the marketing video. And wait, there's more.
Wait, there's more.
Just one more thing.
We could kill us all.
Do you remember when Microsoft put out their new S1 when they did the deal with OpenAI? You sent it to us, and in the bottom it was like things that could go wrong. And it was like, could destroy humanity.
That's right.
And you were like, there's a problem if you're putting out a new technology that is just in a web browser, and that's what you have to put in there.
Yeah, and I mean, some of this is obviously just loyally cover your ass stuff, but the idea that some of these technologies, that it's knowable that they have these kinds of things, that's not true when Nike does a new shoe.
Yeah.
No.
It doesn't have to go in the S1.
Yeah.
This may make people never stop running. They should be so lucky. But that's unusual in this current wave of technology.
Do you think that fusion is gonna become a reality in the not too distant future?
Every 10 years, I say it's going to be in 10 years. I find that
What is
It's
your
the
thought, Dick?
opposite of the Elon predictions, where every 10 years you say it's going to happen in
Next year.
1 month.
Oh yeah, it's imminent now. So I mean,
What was the robotaxi prediction? At the end of 2025, there will be 1 million robotaxis
In Austin,
on
and
the
how
streets.
many are there? Like 27.
37.
Is that
Come
right?
on, get with it. 37.
There's been
It
another 10.
was only off by 999,963.
yeah, I mean, fusions.
Anyway.
Fusion's a really interesting one. Although I will say we've probably seen more interesting lab progress in the last 4 years than the prior 25. It's still not at a self-sustaining point, so it's not a lot to get excited about, but it's incredible progress for where it was at 10 years ago.
All right, I'm going to do one last question for you guys before we wrap this up. Is what is your favorite technology? Dick?
The La Cruzette. God, I love that thing. I use it all the time.
Probably should explain
What
what,
color?
it is.
What color
I
is
wrap
yours?
it in a blanket and sing to it at night.
What color is yours?
I have multiple colors.
Which one's your
I have
favorite
the yellow
color?
one and the maroon one.
I like the yellow one. It's
I don't
good.
care for the blue one.
Nah, I don't like the blue.
Shouldn't cook in anything that's bright blue.
I don't like the white either because it gets dirty and you can't clean it.
I've never seen the white one, and I hope never to see the white one.
Staining.
I like the. I have an orange and a yellow.
Yeah,
I
orange
really
is
like
good.
the yellow.
Orange is fine.
I have a hunch that people don't actually know what it is.
What the Le
Is that what we're
Creuset?
talking about?
Yeah.
Everyone knows what it is.
I don't think so.
What?
It's the baking. It's the Nick. Tell them what the.
It's made out of iron, and it's a French, and hence
It's
the
what
name,
you cook in it.
hence
It's like
the
a
name
slow cooker.
Le Creuset.
It's
And
like
it evenly distributes the heat, and it's really great for stews and like sauces and yeah, it's like a slow cooker, but you put it in the oven or on the stove, and it's great. They last for generations. I have one that's probably 20 something years old.
Wow.
Yeah,
Don't know them.
yeah. Okay. Do you use?
You don't know what this is?
No.
You don't cook. You're not.
He's not a cooker.
You don't cook.
I don't even eat.
Yeah, he tries not to eat. All right, Paul. What's yours?
I don't know. I mean, I think it really depends on the season. These days, I'm like semi-obsessed with these yak tracks things.
Yak
What?
tracks?
Yak tracks.
What
is
is
it?
a yak track?
Yak tracks are like these micro spikes that you are sort of rubberized thing, and you wrap them around your shoes, kind of like ballet slippers for people who aren't doing ballet.
For getting in through the snow.
Yeah. And they're absolutely amazing for running on things that aren't pavement. So
Right.
snow, ice, and everything else. They're just ridiculously effective. Like you feel like
That's a good invention.
They're an amazing invention. I was out running the other day, and I literally had people pointing because they're like, "You can't run on that surface." I'm like, "Yak tracks, baby. You can run on anything." They're a genuinely incredible
I'm gonna
technology.
have to look this up.
Yeah, well, you don't really use them in LA so much.
Oh, well, my
You might
favorite.
be slipping on hypodermics.
My favorite technology is DoorDash. I'm a huge fan.
No, what is your favorite technology?
I think the camera.
Oh yeah, I bet that's true.
Yeah, I love taking photos and specifically black and white.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of like the monochrome cameras.
Yeah.
I just think it's like you just capture a moment and I don't know, there's something very, very rewarding from the experience. I think it's a perfect example of like a technology and a person and
Yeah.
them being required together.
Yeah. No. And you're good at it. So, I mean, you've got an eye for that kind of thing. So,
What I want to do is learn how to yak track while taking photos and ordering DoorDash.
one day that'll be huge.
Well, that concludes another episode of the Nick, Dick, and Paul Show. Tune in next week for us talking about, I don't know what we're talking about next week, but it's going to be fucking great.